UFC Louisville. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video as well. And also note, I will be live for the entire card Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the Fight Companion. And let's get into the first fight on the card. Ladies going after it. We have Andrea Lee versus Montana De La Rosa. I'm going to go with Andrea Lee to snap the 4-fight losing streak and get a win here. Now, neither girl is like crazy impressive. I mean, look at the damn records. 13-9 for Lee, 12-9-1 for De La Rosa. I think Andrea Lee's a little bit better with the Muay Thai. And Lee's ground skills are actually not that bad. She's decent overall. And like you can look and say, yeah, 4 losses in a row. But the comp hasn't been horrible. Miranda Maverick's pretty decent. Natalia Silva's amazing on the come up. Macy Barber's a contender. Viviane Araujo at the time of the fight is definitely pretty game. And if you look at De La Rosa on the other side, 3 losses in a row. The Macy Barber loss, she lost a unanimous decision to Barber. Tatiana Suarez bodied her. Good competition too. The JJ Aldrich loss, though, is where it gets uglier. I think Andrea Lee can go out and win. Montana De La Rosa has never been overly impressive. She's young, though. She's only 29. She's been in the UFC a long time. I feel like she's been in the UFC forever. But just hasn't really ever been able to turn the corner and get an impressive win. Her last win, I guess the Ariane Lipski win now aged pretty good. But that was when Lipski was way worse on the ground than she is now. It was 3 years ago. Cynthia Calvillo win for Andrea Lee now some years back. I'll get Andrea Lee on the scorecards, 29-28. I think the Muay Thai works for her. I think she lands some decent shots. I think she could potentially get on top of Montana De La Rosa. I lean the side of Andrea Lee by a little bit. I feel like De La Rosa is just like a bit more basic in the striking, and the takedown threat is just not all that game. Minus 120 for Andrea Lee, so she's a slight favorite in this fight. De La Rosa's a plus 100 underdog. Even money, even down the center fight. Fight going over 2.5 is minus 400. Bro, that's damn likely. That's like lock territory. If Andrea Lee or De La Rosa got a finish, I'd kind of be shocked. So Andrea Lee for the win. I'll say decision, and I'm definitely saying the over rounds here. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we have Daniel Marcos versus John Castañeda. I'm going to be picking Daniel Marcos. I still have faith that he is high caliber enough to get close to the top 15. I don't know about actually breaking into the rankings, but he is similar to like a Jonathan Martinez style and a Chris Gutierrez style. He has really good low kicks and teeps up the center. He's got good movement from the outside. The takedown defense is definitely there. He has a technical striking advantage over John Castañeda. Now, what John Castañeda does have, though, is a gritty skill set. He has some pop in his hands. He brings good forward pressure. He can land takedowns. He's one of those dudes that's tough to beat. I mean, if you look at the last 5, just 1 loss, and it was Willie Cat knocking him out with a knee and a comeback win. Daniel Marcos is pretty technical and poised. The thing about Marcos is the finishing abilities I still have questions about. He's got knockouts, on the regional scene, but decision win over Brandon Lewis there. The knockout in his debut, then decision with Grant. The Ori Quilong ended up, getting stopped with a low blow, but he was on his way to winning that fight. I feel like Daniel Marcos on the card makes a lot of sense. I could see him catching Castañeda with something, though. Maybe a knee up the center, but like the odds of him getting KO'd by Willie Cat with the knee and then Daniel Marcos kind of seems like I'm playing with fire as far as like reaching if you're thinking, oh, I'm going Marcos by KO. Marcos has potential to get a knockout, but the style in which he fights is technical, and I think he can be patient and pick his shots well from the outside. I think the kickboxing game of Castañeda isn't bad. He rips pretty good leg kicks. He switches his stances. He's comfortable in southpaw. He's a little more of a brawler than Daniel Marcos. And I think with the big cage also being in play here, Castañeda will have a harder time closing the gap and forcing some potential wrestling exchanges. And I think Daniel Marcos should outpoint him to a decision. So Marcos on the scorecards is the pick in this fight. As far as the odds, Marcos is the underdog. Minus 106, it's essentially even money. Slight underdog. Castañeda minus 114. Now I just got to look at the over rounds. I'm not as crazy about this over because Marcos still has finishes. Over is minus 186. For me, the most impressive win for John Castañeda is Miles Johns. Miles Johns is just on my brain right there. When he beat him, that was a pretty impressive W. Now, a win over Kyung-Hyo Kyung, Muin Gafarov, they're not moving the needle for me to now take out Daniel Marcos, who's a guy that seems like he's on at least the path towards top 15. I don't know about path towards a damn world title. I don't think so, especially at 31. But top 15, similar to Martinez, similar to Chris Gutierrez, I think he can break into that level, and he beats a guy like John Castañeda. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we have Charles Radtke versus Carlos Prates. This is a fight that I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to pick Charles Radtke to win. I know some things about Radtke, maybe some of you don't. So some years back, there was a UFC champion that was in the training room with him, and he supposedly was beating the brakes off of him with relative ease. It's showtime for Charles Radtke coming into this fight here, and I think he's going to win against Carlos Prates. Prates has good Muay Thai. He's got Muay Thai tatted on his chest, but he's very skinny and lanky, and I think that Charles Radtke, if he ties up with Prates, can absolutely body him on the ground. Carlos Prates, if he was 25 years old, I could see a different level of potential in him. But at 30, nearly 31, the Trevin Giles fight wasn't overly impressive. He ate some shots there. He does like the knee tap, front kicks, good straights. He caught Giles with a beautiful straight. But Radtke's a different case. Radtke's very strong in grappling. Radtke has a legit submission threat he brings into this fight. And Radtke has knockout power. Last time out, Radtke beat a tall and lanky Urbina, and he was an underdog pretty big in that fight, and he laid him out beautifully. Like, Prates can get hurt with some punches with Radtke as well. I know Prates has a lot of hype on him right now, coming through the Contender Series and then getting a vicious knockout of Trevin Giles. But I think Charles Radtke can make this a tough fight, especially grappling. I think Prates has suspect wrestling. He's been taken down, and I think he's going to have suspect jiu-jitsu. Note, Prates has 3 first-round submission losses as a professional. I think Radtke can lock up a sub in this fight. I think a strangle. I think he grabs a choke, and I'm going to go with Radtke to win by submission in this fight here against Carlos Prates. Now, as far as the odds, what is Radtke sitting at? Plus 170. Our boy's a big dog. Minus 200 for Prates. I like Radtke to win by submission. I also think this fight is going under 2.5. That sits at minus 185. I think that's a pretty good call as well. So minus 185 under. Radtke as an underdog. Fuck, man. This is a fight that's calling my name. I like this dog a lot this week. We're going with Radtke. We're going with submission. And I'm really excited to see this. Let's go. Let's keep on running up. Next fight on the card, we have Thiago Moisés versus Ľudovít Klein. I'm going to pick Ľudovít Klein in this fight. I think he can beat Thiago Moisés because his takedown defense is normally pretty good. I know he got choked out down in weight by Nate Landwehr, and I know Thiago Moisés has way better jiu-jitsu than Nate Landwehr, but it was a while ago. It also, like I said, was down in weight, and I think Ľudovít Klein has really blossomed at 155 pounds. At 145, he was okay, but he was drained out from the weight cut. I think Thiago Moisés is decent, though, and he's going to have a takedown threat in this fight, so this is a very live underdog on Moisés' side, a very slight dog, but I do think Ľudovít Klein has a very obvious striking advantage in this fight here, and if his takedown defense holds up as good as I think it can potentially hold up, I could see him rocking Thiago Moisés, potentially getting a stoppage. But I'm not overly confident with the stoppage call here for Ľudovít Klein. Now, if you look at the past few for Ľudovít, beat AJ Cunningham, who was not near his level, beat Ignacio Bahamondes, who honestly was a high-tier prospect. That was a huge win. Draw against Jai Herbert's not a great look necessarily. Mitch Ramirez win there for Thiago Moisés. Bad loss to Benoit Saint-Denis. Quizio Costa submission. Christos Yago submission. But like 3 wins against low-caliber guys, and then Joel Alvarez beat him. So it becomes one of these situations where how does Thiago Moisés deal with a guy who's substantially better than him at striking, and does Moisés respond at all in the stand-up if he's unable to take Klein down. Moisés is a jiu-jitsu-based fighter, first and foremost, and I think he is going to look to wrestle here with Klein, but Klein's way more athletic. He's way lighter on his feet. I think he's got the better striking. In a close fight, I think Klein can pull through. I'm going to call a Klein knockout. I think he can put it together and get a KO, but obviously I recognize he's not chinning people left and right, but I feel like Klein is kind of sculpting into a guy that can do pretty well in the lightweight division. Whereas even though Thiago Moisés is the same age as him, we've like already seen kind of the peak potential of Moisés, in my opinion. He's decent. He went 4 rounds against Makhachev, but he was just surviving. He didn't do anything to win that fight. So I'm going to go with Klein to win. I don't know. The more I talk about it, the less I love the idea of knockout. The money line is -130 for Klein. Moisés +110. I think the odds in this fight being as close as they are makes a lot of sense. The over is -175. I could see it going over. I could see Klein getting a decision. I want to see a knockout for Klein, especially in front of the crowd, and I think he's capable of knocking Thiago Moisés out. It's just really going to be determined by how does he deal with Moisés' potential grappling. And I think that Klein's defense is there. I think that the footwork is there. And I'll pick Klein to pull it off in this fight here against Thiago Moisés. And a pretty big opportunity for himself to really emerge up the ranks. Next fight on the card, we have Brad Katona versus Jesse Butler. When I initially saw this fight, it was a little bit of a head scratcher to me because I was like, wait, didn't Jesse Butler fight at 155 against Jim Miller and get knocked out in like 20 seconds? Yeah, he did. And he's dropping to 135 to take on Brad Katona. Butler historically was a featherweight on the regional scene. That's where he was doing all of his work. And now he's cutting an extra 10 pounds at 32. I know he's 5'10", and Katona is short at 5'6". I know he's got a damn 8.5-inch reach advantage. I get why people would be kind of high on Butler potentially pulling through as an underdog, especially as wide as it is. But I just don't think he's that good. Stiff in the stand-up department, has decent grappling, but if you're playing into the wrestling game, being 5'10" against Brad Katona, I don't think matters. I think Katona's a bit better in the wrestling. I think he's pretty technical and well-rounded overall. Katona lacks that magic to ever really work his way up to the higher levels in MMA, but like he's 13-3. He's won the Ultimate Fighter twice. Brad Katona is probably going to dominate Jesse Butler for 3 rounds. Like, if he loses this fight, this would be an absolute fumble. I do not think Butler is his level. I think Brad Katona, well-rounded, smart game plan, gets a unanimous decision over Jesse Butler. Now, as far as the odds, Brad Katona is -550, the favorite. Jesse Butler at +400. And as much as Brad Katona doesn't show a lot of pop in the striking department, he was like a pretty good boxer in Canada as an amateur. So he does have a striking background, but, you know, I think the wrestling could also come in handy in this fight here. And to be fair, Katona is also used to having a substantial reach disadvantage. He always has shorter arms than his opponents. Odds for the fight, -550, Katona, so damn wide. -205 for the over 2.5. I do think it's probably going long. Katona is a decision winner. He's a round winner. Probably over. Probably Katona for the W. -550 is an ugly tag, but he should just be way better than Jesse Butler. Like, the regional scene fights, he's taking on journeymen, and he's winning, which is great. Brad Katona has beaten decent opposition on the Ultimate Fighter inside of the UFC. We got to give him a little more respect. So I'm going Brad Katona for the win. Unanimous decision win for sure. And Butler might not even make weight. I don't know how he's even going to look at 135. That's crazy. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we have Cody Stamann versus Taylor Lapilus. I'm picking Taylor Lapilus to win here. We've seen Cody Stamann's level. He's okay. He's got decent wrestling. His boxing's all right. He's got short arms similar to Brad Katona, but he's taken on a lanky striker that knows how to use range. Taylor Lapilus is a very talented kickboxer. He's definitely not a one-dimensional striker either. He has quality grappling defensive skills. He lost to Farid Basharat last time. I don't think there's any shame in that loss. Beat Loughran in his debut. Loughran has similarities to Cody Stamann as far as his frame and pressure style goes. Now, I know Cody Stamann has been in the UFC a lot longer. He's reached higher heights, so far than a Loughran has done. But there are similarities to that, opponent, right? The stature is pretty close. Short, stocky dude with a lot of muscle. I think that Lapilus southpaw stance too. He's going to be very quick from the outside. Lots of movement. Good takedown defense and counter striking. We're in the big cage, which I also think favors the striker here. Stamann has pretty decent hands. He's not a bad boxer at all, but like the T-Rex reach, I think gives him problems against somebody who knows how to kickbox from the outside. That is my argument with the Butler and Katona fight, right? Is I don't think that Butler knows how to use his range, and I think Katona can close the gap on him. Here with Lapilus Stamann, it's different. I think Lapilus is going to do very well from the outside, and I think he'll probably pick apart Cody Stamann for 3 rounds, and I'm picking Taylor Lapilus to win the fight. I think he gets a unanimous decision over Stamann, and I really believe that Taylor Lapilus is still a really fun guy to watch at 135 pounds. I definitely think with a win, he can be in a big fight in France later this year. I'm a Lapilus fan. I actually hated that they matched him up with Bashrat early because he had to take that L, but them giving him Stamann here, it's a good fight to forget about that matchup. Lapilus is a good size favorite. Minus 210 for Taylor Lapilus. It's plus 180 for Cody Stamann. Looking at the over is minus 350. I think we're going over. It's another over that I like here. I like Lapilus to win. I feel pretty confident that he should be able to technically outstrike Cody Stamann en route to a unanimous decision win. So we're going Taylor Lapilus to beat Stamann. Stamann's been slumping a bit. Silva de Andrade last time had 2 wins, but Luan Lacerda, Eddie Wineland, it's an old Wineland, and Luan Lacerda, And then the fight before that, Said Nurmagomedov tapped him out with ease, strangled him up. Moura bodied him. Not terrible losses, but I think Taylor Lapilus' skill set is a hard fight for Cody Stamann, and I'm going to pick Lapilus in this one. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, the ladies going after it here. I swear this fight's going to be the actual first fight of the night. Puja Tomar versus Rayanne Amanda. I don't even know why this is a UFC fight. I'm so confused. I'm not trying to absolutely bash these ladies, but it definitely shouldn't be this high up on the card. So I'm very torn on the pick. Heads for Amanda, tails for Puja. And I just fucking dropped it on the computer like a moron, and it went tails. Now, initially, though, I wrote down and picked the side of Rayanne Amanda, but the damn coin flip is making me question things because I put down for my result, I don't know, give me an Amanda decision. I think Amanda should go out and probably get a decision over Puja Tomar. Puja was fighting over in one championship. She took some L's over there, but she's pretty experienced. She's on a 4-fight win streak. She stopped Anastasia Fiofanova. She was ripping her up with leg kicks. Beat Bai Naigan, who at the end of the day is 6-8 as a pro. I think she fought her in Muay Thai too and lost, and then rematch one in MMA. 2-1 fight, 0-0. Give me Amanda decision. Forget the coin flip, man. If I would have caught it in my hand and dropped it down properly, I would have probably went with whatever it said. But because I didn't catch it and it landed on tails, I don't know. It could be a bad read. I think that this is a fight that I would just stay away from. If you're betting and you're betting on this one, I guess it's a dog or pass potentially. Tomar is the first Indian female UFC fighter, so cheers to her on that. Good luck in the UFC. It's also Rayanne Amanda's birthday on fight night, so give me Amanda with the birthday gift decision. Minus 220 Amanda, Tomar plus 185. Odds for the fight for the over, minus 175. It's probably going long. Amanda should win. She looked decent against Alan Carr. She was on a 3-fight win streak before a UFC fight in the debut. And, the loss, she looked okay. Gave Gomes an okay fight. I'm going with Rayanne Amanda. Tomar did fight Stamp Fairtex, which is pretty badass. She lost 4 years ago there. I'm going Amanda. Amanda decision. That's the pick for this one. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on the card. Ladies going after it again. The featured prelim of the night. I highly doubt this stays the featured prelim. I think currently the bout order is probably a little wonky. Still, I like the fight. Eduarda Moura versus Denise Gomes. I'm going with Eduarda Moura to finish this fight on the ground. Moura is a monster. She missed weight last time, though. She came in at 119.5, and they're booking her at straw weight again, which is a little bit concerning because if she misses weight a second time, she's going to have to move to 125. She is huge. Her back is absolutely jacked. She's a monster in the grappling with good ground and pound, good control. Denise Gomes has a puncher's chance, but that's about it here. Gomes has really good striking, but we've seen her taken down 4 times against Hill, like 3 or 4 times against Loma Lukbume. Then she was reversing and flip-flopping positions, but there's a different level that Moura has with the jiu-jitsu. I think Eduarda Moura is a really nasty prospect. Gomes is still young at 24. I just don't think the ground skills are going to be able to match Moura. I think Moura gets a hold of her, drags her down, beats her up. I think Moura is live to finish inside distance, potentially ground and pound, potentially submission. I like Denise Gomes' hands a lot. She's fun to watch. In the past, we've seen her get nice knockouts. She got a big upset win over Yaraigoi. But if you look at the matchup against Moura, she's not going to be able to freely strike like that. Moura has one thing in her head, and it's put this girl in her back. Denise Gomes' jiu-jitsu is not to the level. Denise Gomes' wrestling is not to the level. Moura is better at wrestling and jiu-jitsu. The only place Gomes is better is striking. So could potentially Gomes land a big knockout shot? I don't feel good about it. I think she's going to get taken down early in the fight. And I think Moura, when she gets on top, is going to be a monster. I really think that Eduarda Moura is a terrifying force in this women's 115-pound division with her wrestling. She's 10-0. She's going to beat up Denise Gomes and I think work towards a finish. I'll say inside distance would be the better like prop betting side for likelihood, but I do think she's live for potentially a sub or even ground and pound. So give me Moura via ground and pound or submission. I'll say method of victory. I'm seeing both as possible, man. Maybe sub. We'll call sub. But the ground and pound's calling my name. I just think she might ground and pound Gomes and then get under the neck. Moura is not a wide favorite. Minus 155 from Moura. I don't know why I expected her to be a minus 350 favorite or more. I think it's just because I think this is a bad stylistic matchup for Gomes. Gomes plus 135 is the dog. The under is plus 116. Maybe this is a live women's under. I think this is definitely the most exciting women's fight on the card. Like, I'm actually pretty stoked to see these girls go after it. Battle of 2 Brazilian up-and-comers. I think Eduarda Moura's jiu-jitsu, her grappling, and her ground and pound, she dropped some hammers on her opponents, is going to come in handy here. So we're going Eduarda Moura to win, and I think she could have been a wider favorite. I really do. Let's see what the people are thinking. 81% on Moura, so she seems like a very popular people's pick this week. Eduarda Moura for the win, and I'll say she does it via submission, but ground and pound is live. Could she go out and grind a decision? Maybe, but I think her dominance on the ground could open up a finish, so we're going with her. Let's keep running. Next fight brings us to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Turcios. I am picking Raul Rosas Jr., and I'm actually feeling more confident about it, seeing how good Christian Rodriguez has done with his MMA career. If you look, like, Rosas did give Rodriguez some difficulty in the first round. And then the next fight for Rosas, they gave him the worst fighter in UFC history in Mitchell, and then he quickly tapped him. I think that Turcios is just at a pure wrestling and athleticism disadvantage, man. Turcios is not a great athlete. All right, he got a KO TKO against Mitchell. What I'm saying, ground and pound TKO. Still, finished him in the first, early. I think Turcios is too slow in the striking. I think he's going to be on his back. And Turcios is also too willing to grapple off of his back. Like, he likes to play the jiu-jitsu game from the bottom. And that's just a recipe for disaster, taking on a guy with good top pressure like Rosas. I do think Rosas bodies him. I'm going to say 3 rounds of dominance is pretty live here for Raul Rosas Jr. I think that the Christian Rodriguez loss in the moment looked bad, but how it's aged, it really just is not bad at all. Like, it's not a loss to really get down about. I think that Rosas goes out, beats Ricky Turcios by a decision, and I think he's still pretty good. I mean, he's almost 20 years old now. He got to the UFC super young, 17. Holy shit. And he's coming together. I'm going Rosas Jr., win over Turcios, and I honestly think he bodies him on the ground, man. Turcios is just not a very good athlete. Plus 210 for Turcios. Rosas Jr. is minus 250, and then the over is minus 155. I think Rosas straight is actually a pretty high likelihood of success call. I know Turcios beat Kevin Natividad last time. It was okay. Ayman Zahabi beat him. Brady Heastan split. It was close, though. I don't know. Could have went Brady's way. Then some fights outside of the UFC. I think Raul Rosas can beat the Ultimate Fighter winner and Ricky Turcios. I'm never, like, blown away by Turcios. He's okay in the stand-up. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. He plays jiu-jitsu too much. He's just not very strong or athletic. And I think Rosas has good physicality in wrestling at this point. So give me Raul Rosas to get it done. Let's keep running up. Our next fight on the card, we have Punahele Soriano versus Miguel Baeza. Soriano is dropping down to 170 pounds after taking some bad L's up at 185. I'm going to pick Miguel Baeza to beat Punahele Soriano because Soriano is so damn basic with his striking, man. He just wings overhand lefts a lot. He's a southpaw. He throws overhand lefts. He throws hooks. Like, you know what he's going to do. He doesn't mix it up. He doesn't work a jab in. He's not looking to threaten takedowns for the most part. He wings hooks. Miguel Baeza, say what you want about him, at one point seemed like a guy that was going to emerge as top 15. He's technically sound in the stand-up. Very good. Problem with Miguel Baeza is he has chin issues, and I would say he doesn't respond well to punches. Problem with Punahele Soriano is he's extremely predictable, and to be honest, I don't think his chin looked very good against Stoltzfus. He got dropped in that fight. He got outpointed and caught by Stoltzfus. And dropping down to 170, I don't know how the body is even going to respond for Punahele Soriano. If Miguel Baeza is on and he doesn't eat some stupid shots, I really think he could end up beating Punahele Soriano by knockout. But there's worry with Miguel Baeza. I have to be nervous. The chin is worrisome. This right here is like a playing with fire type of fight. I think that Miguel Baeza could knock Soriano out, and I'm going to predict that he does. But I do have to caution you guys. Soriano, even though I think he is the worst fighter, if he throws a wide shot, if he lands a clean punch, Miguel Baeza's night could end in literally one shot. The chin is very fragile at this point. Now, if you look, Andre Fialho was the last opponent for Miguel Baeza. And early in the first round, that was 2 years ago, he was doing well. It started to fall apart when Fialho landed some big strikes, and then he got knocked out. But I will argue that stoppage was a bit early. I think Baeza was recovering, and then the ref jumped in a little too soon. Chaos Williams knocked him out, did go distance with Ponzinibbio. There's still promise with Baeza. He's only 31. I have to say, Soriano, it's not like his run is worse than, right? Like, if you look at the losses, Brendan Allen loss is not bad. Nick Maximov loss is bad. Dalcha Legambula win is It's not really anything. The Roman Kopylov loss is not bad. The Dustin Stoltzfus loss is not good. Definitely not good. He got hit with a nice straight in that fight. He was getting rocked a bit. He got outstruck by Stoltzfus. I just think Soriano is so damn predictable. Like, if I am in the camp of Baeza, it's like, listen, Baeza, we're worrying about overhand lefts and hooks. That's essentially all Soriano does, and he is going to throw them hard. So you got to be prepared. And we've seen Baeza rocked before. But the weight cut for Soriano, I don't know how it's going to look. There's a lot of question marks. Baeza, if you told me to tell you who's better offensively, definitely Baeza. Who's better defensively? Neither. Neither are very defensively sound. I'm hoping the 2 years off for Baeza has actually done him good, and he kind of closed up some of the holes because I feel like he is susceptible to hooks. But I just think that maybe with Soriano being as predictable as he is, Baeza comes in, fights him intelligently, picks his shots well, doesn't overextend himself, finds counter shots on Soriano, and ends up getting a knockout win. I really think that Baeza has a chance. Now, there's red flags all around Baeza from the betting side, okay? Because there is a lack of head movement, there is chin issues, and he does struggle a bit with pressure. If you're on Soriano, I guess you're going for that knockout chance, which is definitely there, but he's extremely predictable. He got outstruck by Stoltzfus in the last fight. Not a good look. Punahele Soriano's an underdog at plus 145. Baeza is minus 170, the favorite here. Under 2.5 is minus 205. I think it's probably going under 2.5. I think somebody is going to sleep in this fight. And I'm going to pick Miguel Baeza to win. I think he's still got more promise than Soriano, man. He's better than Soriano for sure. Just the damn chin. The damn chin is a huge question mark, so we shall see. I'm going with Baeza to win this thing, though. And I've been a Baeza fan for a long time. I'm hoping he can put it together and beat Punahele Soriano. Let's keep running up the card. Our next fight on the card is Bruno Ferreira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Bruno Ferreira is a bad man. Okay, and yeah, Dustin Stoltzfus beat Sean Soriano, but shit, that don't mean much when you're taking on a pit bull in Bruno Ferreira. Ferreira has serious knockout power. He has an absolute bullying pressure style, and he has really good takedown defense. He is going to make Dustin Stoltzfus so damn uncomfortable in the cage, I'm telling you, there's going to be shots that just open up. Ferreira is going to chin Dustin Stoltzfus in vicious fashion. Don't write Ferreira off just because Nursultan Rizzyboyev caught him with the perfect punch. He knocked out RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez, who would do bad things to Stoltzfus, and he knocked out Phil Hawes, who honestly I'd probably pick against Stoltzfus. So give me Bruno Ferreira by vicious knockout in a brutal, pressure-heavy first round. He absolutely breaks Stoltzfus. I think this is going to be a dismantling. Odds for the fight. Ferreira is minus 275. He should get wider. He should be minus 350. Stoltzfus plus 220. Give me the under 1.5 at minus 125. Ferreira is going to break Stoltzfus. Something about Stoltzfus, he likes to fight at a calculated and technical pace. That's kind of what Soriano gave to him last time out, because Soriano is very flat-footed. That's another thing that I could have mentioned in the last breakdown, which is why I like Baeza as well, is mobility. I think that Ferreira is going to bulldog Stoltzfus. Oh my God, he's going to bully him. He's going to whoop him. I'm so excited. Bruno Ferreira is a fucking monster. The Mad Dog, Bruno Ferreira. I like the Hulk nickname, but Bruno Mad Dog Ferreira would be pretty badass. I don't know. He seems like a mad dog. He's fucking nuts. He's got rabies, bro. Give me Bruno Ferreira, vicious knockout. I'm on the fucking train all day long. He's knocking him out in the first round. Stoltzfus won't have answers, man. He's going to get outgunned. He's at a big athleticism disadvantage. He's too slow in the striking. There's hit abilities for him there, and I think he's going to bed. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we got the featured bout, Julian Marquez versus Zach Reese. Give me Zach Reese. Why am I picking Zach Reese over Julian Marquez? I guess I'm having faith, because Julian Marquez is not that good. Julian Marquez was getting out-wrestled by Maki Pitolo a few years back. He looked good, though, against Barrios in the first round striking, and then he gassed out. So Marquez is a guy that can definitely come with power. He rips good shots over the top. He brings nice pressure. He has good combination. He has okay jiu-jitsu. He's tough. He's battle-tested for sure. But gas tank issues are definitely there. He's not the best athlete. He doesn't have very good defense. Yes, he can swing some bombs on you and catch the chin. And sure, he could catch Zach Reese with a big shot, rock him, and then finish him on the ground. But Zach Reese has really good jiu-jitsu. He's much more athletic than Julian Marquez. He also is taller and has a 5-inch reach advantage that he's bringing into this fight. Zach Reese also has really good kicks. Now, I expect Marquez to look to make this fight dirty early on. So on the side of Zach Reese, a cautious first round in the stand-up is going to be essential here, so he doesn't get caught with something crazy and end up going flat out. I think if they tie up and go to the ground, Zach Reese is very live to submit Julian Marquez. I think he could potentially tap him here. I'm going to pick Zach Reese by submission. I'm going to have some faith in him, man. I know we've seen knockout losses from Marquez, like Barrios, like Rodriguez, win over Sam Alvey, which isn't much, beating Pitolo. He caught him in the sub, but he was losing. DiCerico split decision. Zach Reese is an interesting case, man. I think he's got decent potential. He's very tall and long. His kicking skill set is very good. How does he deal with a dogfight? Well, that's the worry, right? Because Julian Marquez could definitely make it a dogfight, back Reese up, and make him super uncomfortable and land big shots. But if Zach Reese ties up with Marquez, I think he's going to have a lot better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I feel like Zach Reese is a weird one, right? Because his fight against Brundage, he got picked up and slammed. But that triangle was kind of close. And it's Brundage, right? Brundage is just a weird case. He ends up slamming Zach Reese, and then he gives Bo Nickel a little bit of a hard fight, but then he'll lose to some, scrub in the weight class by unanimous decision. You get what I'm saying? I think Zach Reese is a wild card, so I can understand why people like Julian Marquez. Pretty close, 57 to 43. It's more picking Zach Reese because of some faith that the jiu-jitsu's that good. But we'll find out if he's actually got the goods. Not much of a betting side pick for me. Minus 105 for Reese. It's a 50-50 fight for good reason. Julian Marquez at minus 115. Let's see what the coin says. Heads says you bet Zach Reese, money line. Tails says you don't. And it is tails. Don't do it. Don't do it. Trust the coin. I think that this is a fight you sit back, enjoy, and you learn from. Because we'll know more about Zach Reese if he fights for more than like a minute here against Marquez. The under rounds, under 1.5 is minus 155. Could go under for sure. The over is plus 125. The way Marquez fights and the way that Zach Reese is normally tapping people out, I could see it for sure. You know what kind of gave me confidence in Zach Reese is he did easily tap Aaron Phillips, who at one point fought on The Ultimate Fighter. we'll see what happens. I'm going with Zach Reese for the win via submission. I think he can beat Julian Marquez. Next fight on the card, our co-main event of the evening. It's Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. Guys, I wanted to come out here and say, give me Dominic Reyes by devastating knockout to turn his career around. I just can't, bro. I just can't. He's a corpse of his former self. I know some people say, oh, but Anthony Smith just tapped Petrino. Look at that. Totally different styles. Dominic Reyes is a striker, first and foremost. He's a knockout artist. He's going to be forced into a striking fight with Dustin Jacoby, who fought in pro kickboxing. I have to go Jacoby. I think Jacoby probably technically outpoints him, maybe finds some clean shots, and Reyes loses confidence. I'm like, finding an answer to get my pick for this fight was more than just watching previous fights, because Reyes got destroyed by Ryan Spann. He gave Prochazka a hard fight, but that was some years ago, and he took a ton of damage. And like, I worry that damage carries over into the Ryan Spann fight. And the chin of Reyes could be completely gone at this point. So I can't go out and say Reyes would be a great underdog pick. Go bet him. No. But what I did do is I looked at Instagram. And I'm like, okay, Dominic Reyes, I see him with Curtis Blades. Maybe he's trying to get his wrestling better, but he's not known for high-tier wrestling offense. Dustin Jacoby also is not known to get easily bodied in the wrestling. What I did is I looked at Dustin Jacoby talking about his last fight on Instagram, and he felt like everything finally came together, and then he fumbled in the fight. I think Dustin Jacoby still has more fire, whereas Reyes, not to say he lives off being able to say, I should have beat John Jones, but he reached the pinnacle of the sport that night when arguably he beat John Jones. I know he didn't get the official decision, but he beat John Jones. And then he's fallen from grace traumatically since that moment. Dustin Jacoby has never tasted any type of recognition like that. I'm going to go with Dustin Jacoby because I think he can dig a little bit deeper. I think that he can find decent shots on the feet. Dominic Reyes' chin is absolute fucking glass at this point, and I just have to worry that Reyes doesn't even take a good jab from Jacoby. Like, Jacoby's got knockouts. Look what he did to Dawoon Jung. Look what he did to Nzechukwu. I might be going Jacoby KO, to be honest. His last 2 wins are KOs. I think KO might be live. Dominic Reyes' durability is down bad, man. As much as I want to pick Reyes, I'll more just pick Jacoby, and maybe Reyes surprises us. Because I feel like I'm just underdog reaching if I pick Dominic Reyes when Jacoby should have beat Khalil Roundtree. Everybody's picking Reyes. Or excuse me, everybody's picking Jacoby. 25% on Reyes. Reyes is a southpaw. He's got decent stand-up. He's quick. In his prime, he's a different story. But now, taking as much damage as he had, Dustin Jacoby might put him down with a jab. So looking at the odds for the fight, Jacoby's a favorite at minus 204. Reyes is a plus 174 underdog. The over is plus 175. Wow, can you imagine they go decision? Again, huge plus money on a fucking over here. It's just Reyes' durability is massively in question. And also, Reyes has not officially won a fight since he beat Chris Weidman in 2019. Reyes' prime was 2020 and before. He has completely fallen from grace. He hasn't fought in a year and a half. Jacoby, in that year and a half time span, has 4 fights to Reyes' 1. And Jacoby doesn't have durability issues. Menafield just caught him with some big shots late in their fight and was able to pull it off against him. I'm going to go with Dustin Jacoby to win. I think he can be technically better than Reyes. I think he can find jabs on Reyes, and especially the straight right following, the southpaw Reyes coming inside. Reyes had a good moment against Prochazka, and I'm like trying to find reasons to pick him, right? Because the Prochazka fight, bro, it's 3 years ago, and he took a ton of damage. And then Spann killed him a year and a half ago. I have no idea what to expect from Reyes. If he turns it around and proves me wrong, bravo. But I think Dustin Jacoby should probably win. So give me Dustin Jacoby to beat Dominic Reyes. It's probably a knockout. But maybe Dominic Reyes has his Anthony Smith moment or something like that. And he has a great comeback and he proves me wrong. We'll find out. Main event of the evening. We got Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I am going to pick Jared Cannonier because he is going to finish the fight better than Imavov. The 5th round, Jared Cannonier is still coming forward with hard shots where I think Imavov is pretty much completely gassed and surviving at that point. I feel like the first round, Imavov from range could find some decent shots. It might take Cannonier around. Like the Vettori fight. First round, Vettori won. Vettori hit him with some good shots in the first round. But once they get warmed up and things get flowing, Cannonier is going to be very accurate. He's going to have a speed advantage on Imavov, and he has a reach advantage. Even though he's the shorter guy, he's coming in with a 2.5-inch reach advantage, which is great for Cannonier's boxing. He's got some powerful hooks. He's very explosive. Imavov is good from distance. It's a calculated technical pace. Not that Cannonier blitzes like a madman. He's very technical and calculated too, but he has a speed advantage, an explosiveness advantage, and a power advantage. Imavov would have the kicking from range edge and maybe the point fighting advantage. But in the overall MMA game, I got to go with Cannonier. He's nastier, he hits harder, and I think he has more chance of getting a finish in this fight. I'd be very surprised if Imavov knocked out Cannonier. Imavov is just not known for power. He's the Russian sniper, and he snipes good shots from the outside. I think Cannonier hits him with some big ones over the top, and I'm telling you, especially when we hit the championship rounds 4 and 5, Cannonier is going to land some big shots. It wouldn't be crazy if Cannonier knocked Imavov out late, but I am going to officially call Cannonier to win by decision. And if they tie up, I think Cannonier could potentially put a tired Imavov on his back and land some good ground and pound strikes. I'm pretty confident that Jared Cannonier, regardless of him being 40 years old, is still one of the best middleweights in the world, and he's a bad matchup for Imavov. I'm going Cannonier, unanimous decision. And it comes to question, like, is it a title fight? Probably not, right? It's log jammed at the top. Is it a Sean Strickland rematch? I don't know. If Cannonier goes out and beats Nassourdine Imavov, like, he's hard to deny because he did beat Sean Strickland. I know Strickland, it was controversial, whatever. I'd watch a rematch between Strickland and him. I know Strickland's calling for the title fight, saying all he wants is gold next. There's interesting options, man. With a win for Cannonier, though, he's definitely one of the best middleweights in the world. I do think he goes out and wins. The Sean Strickland fight, very close split decision. I think they should run it back. I would like to see a rematch at some point. Marvin Vettori win. He was beating Vettori up bad late, and Vettori's durability held him in the fight. But if Cannonier hits Imavov with the shots that he hits Vettori with, I don't think that Imavov is standing up to it. You get what I'm saying? Imavov last time beat Dolidze, and you know what? He looked pretty decent in the striking. The ground skills weren't bad either there, but Dolidze is nowhere near Jared Cannonier. Fight before that, he was beating Chris Curtis, but it was a no contest. Fight before that, he lost to Sean Strickland. It was a light heavyweight fight where Strickland jumped in on short notice. So, common opponent, Sean Strickland. Jared Cannonier, close win over him. Imavov, a pretty clear loss to him. I think Cannonier can bring the fire late. He'll do better in the 4th and 5th round, securing the win. Even if early Imavov from range is having some success, Cannonier will finish the fight stronger. So I'm backing Jared Cannonier to win against Nassourdine Imavov. The odds for the fight, what? Jared Cannonier's the underdog? I didn't check the main event odds. I promise you that reaction is real. Plus 117, I thought he was a 2-1 favorite. Give me Jared Cannonier as a dog all day. Imavov's minus 137? What? I'm shocked. I'm fucking shocked right now. I swear that I thought the odds were minus 200. I thought I saw the odds earlier because my rule is I don't look at the odds until after I get the pick, right? So I saw the Jacoby Reyes odds earlier and I was thinking in my head, I think Cannonier is minus 200. And I was like, he deserves to be minus 200. I was fine with him being minus 200. I was going to put him confident pick. Give me Cannonier, minus 200. Plus 117, underdog Cannonier, all day. All day, Jared Cannonier. That's crazy. Over 4.5 is minus 155. Bro, give me Cannonier the dog. I don't care about the over. Cannonier, underdog in the main event. I didn't even know that I was picking the underdog in the main event. I'm confident Cannonier wins this fight. Give me Jared Cannonier for the W, and I think he's still one of the best middleweights in the world, and I think there's still very big fights on the table and potentially a title shot. I don't care that he's 40. He ages different than everybody else. Cannonier's health, the way he dialed into his fitness and changed from his early UFC career to now is why at 40 years old, he's still performing as one of the best athletes in the game. Jared Cannonier for the win in the main event as an underdog, and I couldn't be happier. Guys, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. I appreciate you all tuning in. Let me know in the comments what you think of the picks. Especially let me know what you think about Cannonier being a dog, because I'm thinking he should have been a 2-1 favorite. Much love, my people. W's in the comments if you got nothing to say. I'll see you all week long with the content. I appreciate the support. Peace out, everybody. Have a great one.